Hello, I'm Andy, and you're there. I am so excited about this. Welcome to the Andy Andrews Blue Plate Special. It's 12:15, and it's on any day, and it's 12:15, and it's time for the Blue Plate Special. We're actually going to have some amazing conversation today. Had a little time to think about what we want to talk about, and I ran it by a couple of people. Mark Lowry, Mark, you're there eating tacos as you watch, and I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. Being shared with Mexican food is always been a dream of mine. And so, let's see. Hey, tonight we're Mondays with Mark, and so just don't forget, everybody, tonight at 7 p.m. Central Time, and I will share that. I'll share that on my page. You can watch Mark right here. But we'll put Mondays with Mark on there. And we'll also have at 9:30 Sugar Cane Jane go live. Do you love that music? I mean, oh my gosh. And that was Sugar Cane Jane, by the way, playing the Notice Her theme. That's written and performed by Sugar Cane Jane, so what you heard when we came in. And Jimmy Geary, I was talking to Jimmy, so what's going on with Jimmy? You need to go to YouTube and just look Jimmy Geary. And the new single from his album is out. It's Same Water, Different Boat. I mean, you talk about a song for our times right now during this craziness, to have Same Water, Different Boat going, and because that's where we are. You know, you've heard the old thing about the rising tide floats all the boats. Yeah, well, a falling tide kind of strands them too. And so it don't matter whether you got yourself a big, nice, beautiful yacht, or if you're with me in the John boat, the 14-foot aluminum John boat from Bass Pro. We're kind of in the same boat, different water, or different boat, but same water. So watch that video. I think you'll love it. You'll love the song. And there's Chris. Hey, Chris, how are you doing? I want to get started with a story today that I've told this story several times, but never told it publicly, because I had to figure out how to tell this story publicly. Because the telling of the story, if I told the story actually like it would have a lot of bad words in it. They were not my bad words, but I was there. And I'm going to tell you the story of the worst night I ever had on stage. Now, you know, I used to work as a comedian, and it did okay there. You know, it was a wonderful time in my life. But Polly married a comedian. That's what she married. Whatever this thing is that I have become now, I'm not sure. But she married a comedian. Man, I wish the Facebook thing was larger. I wish I could see, that's what I wish. I wish I could see better. But man, somewhere in my 50s, my eyes just fell off a cliff. But hey, you guys, thanks. I just see you piling in here, and I want to give you a couple of pieces of background, because I've tried to figure out, how do I tell this story? And I mentioned several times that I was going to tell you the story of the worst night ever in my career, ever. And this is as a comedian, but I'm telling you, ever, okay? I mean, comedian, business person, speaker, writer. This is the worst public night ever of my career. And a couple of things that you want to know that one is that I used to do a bit that was called the 50 Famous Parent Sayings. Now, I'm going to do it for you here really quickly, all right? But don't ask me to do this. If we see each other in the mall, which I guess we probably won't, since there's like a pandemic, but and also there's like no malls. I mean, malls went away before the people went away. Usually it's the people go away, then the malls close. Or maybe the people did go away. They just went somewhere other than the malls. They went to Amazon. That's where they were. But I used to do this bit called the 50 Famous Parental Sayings. And I would do this in like 60, 70, I'd say less than 90 seconds. And it's the 50 most famous things that parents said. And I would do this on stage. So don't ask me to do this now if we run into each other, because I forget it all the time now. But let me do this for you really quickly, because this figures into the story that I'm going to tell you. Okay, here we go. You better change your tune pretty quick or you're out of here. I mean it. Is that understood? Don't shake your head at me. I can't hear your head rattle. Don't mumble. You act like the world owes you a living. You got a chip on your shoulder. You're not going anywhere looking like that. You're crazy if you think you are. If you think you are, just try me. I don't know what's wrong with you. Other kids don't pull stuff like that. I wasn't like that. What kind of example do you think you are for your brothers and sisters? Stand up straight. Don't slouch. Do you like a spanking? If you like spanking, just tell me now. We'll get this thing over with. You're cruising for a bruising. I'm your father. As long as you live in my house, you'll do as I say do. Do you think the rules don't apply to you? I'm here to tell you that they do. Are you blind? Watch what you're doing. You walk around like you're in a daze. Something better change, and change fast. You're driving your mother to an early grave. This is a family vacation. You're going to have fun whether you like it or not. Take some responsibility. Pull your own weight. Don't expect other people to pick up after you, and don't ask me for money. What do you think I'm made out of money? Do you think I have a tree that grows money? You better wake up, and I don't mean maybe. Do you act like this when you're away from us? We've given you everything we possibly could. Food on the table, a roof over your head, things we never had when we were your age. You treat us like we don't exist. That's no excuse. If he jumped off a cliff, would you jump off a cliff too? You're grounded. I'm not going to put up with this for another minute. You're crazy if you think I am. If you think I am, just try me. Don't look at me that way. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Don't make me say this again. So, that's the 50 most famous parental sayings. And that was like my signature piece as a comedian. And I would close the show with that. You know, it's like, don't make me say this again. Look at me when I'm talking to you. And boom, just like drop the mic. Good night. Thank you very much. I mean, there's no following that. And so that was always the end of my show. Always. Once I figured that out, memorized it, that was always the end of the show. Because as the entertainers know, there's no following that. Now, I was watching Sugar Cane Jane last night, watching their live thing. It's the Hibernation Tour. And they're doing this at 9:30 every night. You see them tonight. After you watch Mondays with Mark, go to the Sugar Cane Jane Facebook page. Maybe in between, you got a little gap in between. Watch Jimmy Urie's song, Same Water, Different Boat. Watch it 4 or 5 times. And then on with Sugar Cane Jane. I was watching them last night. And I had talked to Anthony yesterday, and I said, yeah, we're going to start the Blue Plate Special. Just, 12:15, going to do an odd time. The Blue Plate Special, and it's going to be lunchtime learning and laughter. And he said, what are you going to talk about? I said, well, the first show, I'm going to give them an idea about a Mother's Day gift. Hey, by the way, if you're watching and you see this little pop-up saying, would you like to be notified when Andy goes live, you need to click that, okay? Because that's how you're going to find out if we do these. Because I'm just not going to say, we're going to do this every day, or we're going to do this every Wednesday. I mean, Mondays with Mark. Mark's rich, okay? Mark can take a whole day and say, yeah, for the rest of my life, I'll do Mondays with Mark. I don't know where I'm going to be on Monday. I might be mowing somebody's lawn. I might be cleaning somebody's gutters. I might be trimming somebody's trees. I don't know what I'm doing on Mark's rich, okay? He stays in his palatial estate in Houston, and he doesn't have to go anywhere. The servants in and out all day, and but Mark he can claim a Monday. I'm just saying I can't. All right, and so if you want to know when we're doing these, we're just going to get on. We're going to do. It's going to be 12:15 lunchtime. It's just their Blue Plate Special. By the way, there's the Blue Plate, and so. But if you want to be notified, you'll see that thing come up, and it'll say, would you like to be notified when we're just click that right then, and we'll let you know when we're there. So I was watching Sugar Cane Jane, and they said, hey, Andy told me today that at 12:15 tomorrow, he's doing Blue Plate Special. He's going to tell the worst thing that ever happened to him on stage, the worst night he ever had, and so then Savannah said, what do you think it was? And Anthony said, I don't know. But it was hilarious to me that when Anthony told her, Andy's going to say it till the worst night of his career, she goes, oh, great. And I turned to Polly and I said, "You see that?" I said, "That is a typical entertainer's reaction." Okay, because entertainers, they want to hear stories about the best or the worst, and they want to see entertainment that is the best or the worst. There's something in us, I think. There's some those of us who, there's a reason that NASCAR is in existence. I mean, you hear about this and you think, what is to that? You just like hang a left and keep hanging a left for like 4 hours, and what is there to that? But if there's a wreck, you don't want somebody to be hurt. You don't want there to be some tragic accident. But if there is one, you don't want to miss it. I mean, but that kind of thinking, is like, hey, oh, really great. When you see a wreck, okay, good. It's why people go to bull riding. It isn't so they can see somebody hang on to the animal for 8 seconds. It's this guy could get killed. I'm just telling you, he could get killed. And so there is that. When Anthony said he's going to tell us about the worst night ever, she goes, "Oh, great." It's like this, And she said, "What do you think it'll be?" And Anthony said, "I don't know." You didn't say it. She said, "You think it's like when he fell off the stage with the Chick-fil-A thing, when he fell off the stage?" Anthony said, "I don't think so." He said, "Because this was like years ago." And he said, and I'm sitting there thinking, "No, that isn't it. That has totally changed my life." And said, "That ain't funny to me." But there has been time that has passed, a couple of 3 decades actually, that have passed since this evening that I'm about to tell you about. And entertainers, gather close, because I dare anybody to have a worse experience than this. So at the time, I was doing stuff. I had toured with Joan Rivers. I think it was kind of in the middle of doing stuff with Kenny Rogers. Where are you going? You want to get some coffee? Sure. Okay. I got one person in my audience, and he's leaving. So, but I'm doing stuff with Bob Hope, here and there. I got another story to tell you about Bob Hope one time. The time that he got mad at me. Oh my God! Don't even get me started on that. I actually called the man and asked him to forgive me. I mean, I'll tell you that story at some point, okay? But I'm doing stuff with Bob Hope, and so they that office calls and says, this is my invitation, says, "Mr. Hope is a part of a foundation dinner in Palm Springs coming up, and he is the entertainment chair for the event." And I'm just listening. They say this is the Annenberg Foundation, and Walter Annenberg, the philanthropist. Now, at the time, this guy was a billionaire, but at the time, this is in the 80s, right? And there weren't a bunch of billionaires. Like there seems to be billionaires all the time now. But back then, there weren't a lot of billionaires, but he was the first philanthropist ever to have given away $1 billion in a year. So I mean, this is stunning news. It's unbelievable, and he really did unbelievable works. You've heard of the Betty Ford Clinic. That's where the celebrities used to go for drug rehab, and the Betty Ford Clinic. Well, that was Annenberg Foundation money. All right, the Barbara Sinatra Burn Clinic for kids out in California. That's Annenberg money. A lot of these big hospital type things were Annenberg Foundation money. So they were going to have this big event to honor Walter Annenberg and to raise money for the foundation. And so as they're telling me on the phone that Bob Hope is going to be entertainment chair for that evening. So he's putting together, the silent auction people, the on-stage auction people. He's putting together the speaking parts, the entertainment parts, the MC, everybody. So Mr. Hope, I am told, wants you and it was Melissa Manchester. I said the other day, I think I said Melissa Etheridge, but it was Melissa Manchester. He said, Mr. Hope wants you and Melissa Manchester to do the evening's entertainment. I'm like, okay. Right. I mean, they don't. I don't ask how much does this pay, because I know it don't pay anything, and they don't say, will you do this for free, because they know I'll do it for free, and so they say it's going to be a really big event, a high dollar event, and a lot of celebrities will be there. And so I think I asked how many people will be there, and they said they're going to sell like 2,000 tickets, and then there will be a lot of celebrities. And I said, will Mr. Hope be there, and Mrs. Hope, Dolores, and they said, oh yes. And I was like, okay, all right. And so that's kind of what I knew. And can I bring my wife? Of course, please. And this is black tie event, tuxedo, gown. Okay. It's in Palm Springs. And so, Polly and I head out there, and that's really kind of all I know. All I know is that I'm supposed to do 30 minutes, and I'm assuming somebody else told Melissa Manchester how much time she would do. I mean, that wasn't my problem. I knew I was the opening act. And so when we check into the hotel, we get to Palm Springs, we're checking in the hotel. I'm looking at people checking in around me. And I've told this story off stage to friends before, but I've never told this to my greater block of friends here. All right. I doubt I would ever tell this on stage. This is like truly a Blue Plate special thing. But I've told this before, but I've never stopped to write down some of the people that I remembered being there. I would always tell people when I tell the story, Jean-Claude Van Damme was there, and people like that. But I never stopped. But I took 5 minutes this morning and I wrote down some of the people that I remembered being there. But as they're checking in around me. They're checking in. Now, I had met John Ritter. Remember John Ritter from Three's Company? I'd met John Ritter and Terry Garr months before, because I'd done something at the White House. And so I met them at the White House. And Terry Garr, if you remember, Terry Garr is the blonde actress that was in Tootsie. She was the friend, Dustin Hoffman's friend in Tootsie. And I'm sure you remember who Terry Garr is. But Terry Garr had this unbelievable reputation for being stuck up. I mean, everybody said, oh yeah, man, she didn't even talk to you. And she'll walk right by you. She's just so stuck up, it's just unbelievable. Well, that wasn't my experience when I met her at the White House. She was just so nice, just very nice, and this wasn't my experience. Well, I'm checking into the hotel, and I see Jean-Claude Van Damme walk right by me as I'm standing in the line to check in. I'm in line with like Barbara Eden. Remember, I Dream of Jeannie? Barbara Eden and her husband, I guess. And there were several people in line that I recognized. Jean-Claude Van Damme walked by, and of course, I'm Bloodsport, all these movies, just unbelievable. And he walks by, and I'm like, Jean-Claude Van Damme, and he's like that tall. I mean, I'm telling you, you watch him on the screen, it's like, but it's like this tall. And so I see Terry Garr up there. Well, when she checks in, she walks back by, and I go, and man, she walks right by me. Does not even look at me. I mean, she kind of looked at me and then kept walking. It was very disappointing. But then a couple of minutes later, she came back by, and I thought, I should never assume anybody's going to remember me. And so I'll always go, hi, I'm Andy Andrews. And I'll give them opportunity to say, if they want to, I know who you are, but I never want to assume. I saw Vince Dooley do that with my wife one time. Vince Dooley, the legendary coach, he's like the Bear Bryant of Georgia. And Vince Dooley came to our house one time, and of course, we knew Vince Dooley's coming. The neighbors knew Vince Dooley's coming to my house, and Polly knew Vince Dooley. And yet, when he met Polly, he went, "Polly, it's an honor to be here. I'm Vince Dooley." I just thought it was very cool. It's like not assuming people. And so I thought, it's not a matter of not assuming people don't know who I am. They don't know who I am. I mean, why would I think she would remember me? And so I thought, I'm going to say hi. She was so nice to me at the White House thing. And so she came back by, and I just kind of stuck out my hand there, and I said, "Terry, hey." And she turned, and I said, "I'm Andy Andrews." And I noticed when she went by, she was doing this. And so when I said, "Terry, hi, I'm Andy Andrews," she goes, "Andy, hey, how are you?" And I realized she's just blind as a bat. She's not wearing her glasses. Or wasn't wearing her contacts, And she's not stuck up at all. It's just people are not wanting to say anything to her because she's a star, but she's not stuck up at all. She just couldn't see them. She's not recognizing anybody. And now, who knows why somebody don't wear the contacts or wear the glasses, but she couldn't see me. But I check in, and I go to the room. Polly and I go to the room, and I say, "Have you seen all these people? You see all these people? Can you believe how many people are here?" And so, "Hey, Dana. Hey, Marv. Hey, Bo. How are you doing?" And Jimmy Erie's here. There's Mark. Jan Ritter. I wonder if that was John. Are you John's sister? So we go down for the event. We get dressed. We get down for the event. And we get there early. Okay. I don't have to do a sound check because it's just like, you have somebody else grab the mic and count to 10. Can you hear it? Okay. That's fine. So I don't really do a sound check or anything, but we go into this room, and man, it's fancy. I mean, it's as fancy a thing as I've ever seen in my life. And by the way, I don't know if I told you this, but the ticket, it was $25,000 a plate. Not $25,000 a couple, $25,000 a piece for this dinner. Now I got to tell you, I know how these things work. And so these stars, people ain't got as much money. There's a lot more people. There's some people that have more money than you think anybody has put together. But there's a lot of people that you think have a lot of money, and they ain't got a lot of money. And so there are a lot of these stars. I'm sure somebody said, "Hey, we need you at this event. You could support us just by being here so that other people will pay $25,000 a plate just to kind of sit at your table." And so, but anyway, the point is $25,000 a plate. 2,000 people there, maybe 500 of them were comped. I don't know. But $25,000 a plate. I mean, there's some, you talk about not knowing which fork to eat with or which spoon to use at what time. There's like 10 different wine glasses. There's 30 different forks. There's a different kind of plate in every kind of color and knives from every country of the world. It was bizarre. But there was different kinds of meats. And it didn't take us long as this room was filling up. And as our table, we're sitting kind of midway toward the back of the room at this table of 10. There's 10 tops, okay? Table of 10. And so these people that were at the table with us, and we started realizing around us and throughout, this was the most miserable bunch of people. Now, I wrote down some of the people. I'm not saying that the celebrities were miserable, but what I'm fixing to tell you figures into what happened to me that night. And so I want to tell you who was there, okay? And so I just wrote down somebody. That night, among the people, I saw Cher, Ali Sheedy, John Travolta, Candice Bergen, Don Johnson from Miami Vice, Shirley MacLaine, Dolph Lundgren. You remember Dolph Lundgren? He was the Ivor or whatever, that big blonde guy who fought Rocky. Sylvester Stallone was there, and Carl Weathers was there. Burt Reynolds, Terry Garr. I told you. John Ritter. I saw John again. Dustin Hoffman, Jack Nicholson, Ed McMahon. Doc Severinsen. In fact, I'm figuring Johnny Carson was the only person that I could figure out in all of Hollywood that I didn't see there that night. It was every star from every television show, every movie that you ever thought. Doc Severinsen, and I had done some shows with Doc. Doc was a big horse race guy, and I did a show with Doc one time down in Ocala, Florida, where we were to play before a horse auction, a thoroughbred auction. And so I did my bit, Doc did his bit, and Doc was always very nice. And so then now we're watching the auction. They bring this horse out there, and I'm standing beside Doc off stage, and I'm looking. I don't know anything about this. But they go, who will bid $10,000? Who will bid 20, 40, 40, 40, 40, 40,000. Got a $40,000 right here. 45, 45, 50, 55, 75, 75. Who will bid 100? Going 100, 100,000, 110,000, 100. It was 140, 140, 140, 150, 150. And I remember right then, I looked at Doc Severinsen and I went, $150,000 for a horse. And Doc looked at me and goes, Andy, it's not for the horse. It's for his semen. Oh. Oh, really? $150,000 for a straw from the big boy. Wow. So Doc Severinsen was there. Who else? Sylvester. Richard Simmons was there. I remember him because he was walking around with a pillow. I don't know. Clint Eastwood, Robert Redford, Meryl Streep, Mel Gibson, Robert De Niro, Jean-Claude, I told you him, Dudley Moore. Now, here was a funny thing to me. As I'm in a minute, I'm going to tell you about walking out on stage. But skip to walking out on stage right now. As I look right over here, I'm walking out on stage. Not the table right in front of me, but the table over here. The table in front of me, this is Walter Annenberg and his friends. They're at the A table, okay? But now the B table over here, let me tell you who was at the B table. At the B table was Bob and Dolores Hope. There was Kirk Douglas and his wife, Gregory Peck and his wife, Gerald and Betty Ford, the President of the United States, and Frank and Barbara Sinatra. That's the 10 people at the B table. Those 10 people couldn't even snag the best table in the joint that night. And so anyway, these people are just like miserable. As the meal is going on, Polly and I are just kind of looking at each other because these guys are like, yeah, I can't believe this kind of wine. They put this kind of wine, this isn't $25,000 worth of food, and you're like, no kidding. Really? I mean, that's what you expect. I mean, you're right. I mean, if you got that kind of money, you're paying that. You're giving it as a charity. I mean, they're just doing an event to try and do something nice for you just because you're supporting the Annenberg Foundation. But these people are like, this isn't $25,000 worth of food. I mean, I've never seen so many ungrateful people in my life in one place. Now, so you could sense the mood of the place. I'm sensing the mood of this place, and I got to go on. All right, so then somebody goes up on stage, and it is Marjo Gortner. Now, some of you are not going to remember that name, but you need to look up who Marjo Gortner was. This is a guy who started his acting career as a tent preacher as a child. He was one of those guys that would go and scam money from people because he wasn't a tent preacher. He was like a faith healer that would do tricks. Okay, you ever see the movie Leap of Faith by Steve Martin? That was done from Marjo Gortner's life, right? So Marjo Gortner is on stage and he's talking about something. Well, these people around us are like, God, 20. Hey, who put him on there? And of course, I want to say Mr. Hope did. Mr. Hope chose him. I don't know why. I don't know him, but Mr. Hope. That's what I want to say, but I don't say anything. I'm getting scareder and scareder and scareder. And so then they do a public auction. Well, Robin Leach comes on to do the public auction. And so they're going to auction off like 10 things. So this takes like 20 minutes to auction off these 10 things. And they're big. Whatever it is they're auctioning off, it's a lot bigger than horse semen. I'll just tell you that. And so, but he's up there and he's going, we have here something from Barbara Sinatra's night table at the castle in France. And you know, it's that Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous guy, right? And that was the night that I found out that the rich and famous do not like the guy who does Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous. It came short of people booing, but they were like yelling things. I mean, get off the stage. It was just brutal. And here's this like little comedian, and I'm gonna have to go on in a few minutes. I mean, because they're like eating dessert now. And I remember turning to Polly and going, this is going to be brutal. This is going to be awful. I'm already, you know, so at some point I said to Polly, I said, I guess I'm going backstage. So I kind of cut through the crowd and confirmed that, yeah, they're acting this way all the way through. I mean, they're grumbling, people mad, and, you know, these movie stars are everywhere trying to be nice, but it ain't working. and so I stopped by Mr. Hope's table, and, you know, he's like, Andy, thank you for being there. And Mrs. Hope was gracious as always. And so she introduces me to the rest of them, and I go on backstage. All right, pausing your story there. And I want to tell you another little principle behind the scenes of entertainment. Entertainers know that whoever it is who is your road manager, your number one assistant, for me, it's SB, right? I mean, for other people, whoever it is, it can be a problem sometimes because that person can, if it's not a real quality person, they can easily take on the power of the person they're working for and wield it in unnecessary ways. And we used to say on the cruise ships, when I worked on cruise ships, got a lot of stories for the Blue Plate Special on cruise ships. But as we were doing this, Nancy, you say you can't imagine? Just wait. I'm not even to the good part yet. So, hey, Joy, Linda, Melody. Hey, thank you guys for being here. Nadine, hey. Okay, so, hey, Savannah. I see Savannah. So, we used to say on cruise ships, God forbid one of the gift shop's girls starts sleeping with the captain because she will be in charge of the ship because they take, it's like they take the power. Well, my point is there was a guy who worked for Bob Hope and had worked for Bob Hope for a long, long time. And he was as old as Bob Hope. Now, I know this guy's name because I looked up his name before I taught today. And I thought, do I say this guy's name? And I'm not going to say his name. The reason I'm not going to say his name, even though I was around him several times and I saw this kind of behavior every single time, I'm sure that the Hope family, the sons, daughters, grandsons, I'm sure that they have fond memories of this person because I'm sure he was nice to them. And he was probably nice to people in front of Bob. In fact, I saw that. But he was not nice to people away from Bob. But he had the power of one of the most powerful people in Hollywood, right? And I was at Bob Hope's house one day, and I was going to do something with Mr. Hope, and there was a television show that had taken 9 hours. They had the permission to be in Mr. Hope's backyard, and we're going to set up for a 2-minute interview, and they had taken 9 hours to do the setup, okay, for this interview. And it's nothing but 2 chairs sitting there, but they've set up, there's like a train track type of thing where the camera can smoothly go along and go around them. It's taken 9 hours to do the setup. And so I'm there early, but this guy, Bob Hope's guy, now this guy's dead, all right? Mr. Hope, Ms. Hope, everybody's dead. But this guy, we need to move this. What? He goes, move it all. It needs to all be moved right here. Now, okay, it's like, and the producer, and he said, this Bob Hope wants it over here. The guy goes, okay. But that's how he would use this thing. And so now we're back to Palm Springs. I go backstage. And right when I get there, you know, I'm kind of aware that Marjo Gortner and the Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous guy have taken a long time. And so as I get backstage, here comes this elegant-looking man. I mean, he's probably, at the time, I'm thinking about what I would guess on somebody's age. I'm thinking he was 60. He had, like, beautiful white hair, deeply tanned, kind of looked like George Harrison, who I also saw there that night. He had a white dinner jacket. I never will forget. The guy looked like $1 million. Looked like he was wearing clothes that were worth that, and a white dinner jacket. And he comes up to me, and he says, "Hi, Andy. I'm so and so. I can't remember his name." He said, "I'm so and so." He said, "I'm the chairman of the event. We appreciate so much you being here tonight. I appreciate so much, Mr. Hope, letting us know about you and your willingness to help." I'm like, "Oh, absolutely, no problem." He says, "You know, we're really crunched on time, and if you don't mind, could you cut 5 minutes? I know that's tough. I understand the entertainment. You got this set and everything, but man, if you could help us out." Now, in my mind, I'm thinking, 5 minutes? Yeah, I'd cut 5 minutes. This is going to be horrible. I definitely. You want me to cut 10? I mean, that's what I'm thinking. I'll be glad to. Well, as he's telling me this, here comes Bob Hope's guy. He has seen me gone in, and so he has come from some table, and he comes backstage too. And now understand, remember, Bob Hope is like 90 years old at this time. And this guy, he's 90 as well. All right. And so he comes up and he says, "Hey, kid, how you doing, kid?" And I said, "Oh, doing good, Mr. Johnson. Let's call him James, all right? It's not his real name. We call him James. I called him Mr. James. And also, I'm about to start into a conversation that has a lot of cuss words in it. And rather than trying to say, he says, I'm going to try to tell this and just say blank every time there's a cuss word, okay? So he comes, "Hey, kid, how you doing? I'm glad you're here, And I said, hey, Mr. James, thank you so much. I'm glad to be here." And he's, yeah. Now, who are you? And the guy said, "Oh, I'm so-and-so. I'm the chairman of the event. And I'm just talking to Andy and asking him if he would mind. He's been very gracious. We're running way behind, and so if Andy's going to cut, he's going to be able to like trim 5 minutes off of what he does." And Mr. James says, no, he's going to do his whole thing. And I said, "No, I'm fine. He says, no, kid, you're doing the whole thing." And the guy says, "Well, I'm just, we're really in a tight, and we're really just trying, because the union workers in the kitchens and we're trying." And he says, "He's doing the whole thing. He's doing his entire blank 30 minutes, all right?" And the guy goes, and of course I'm standing there and I'm like, I'm really fine. I'm really fine. He said, "Kid, hey, shut the blank up. We're gonna do this, and you're gonna do your whole thing. This is a life changer for you. All right? Now shut up." And he's doing the whole thing. And the guy said, "Look, I really need, I mean, he is fine to cut it. He says, shut the blank, blank, blank up with your blanking mouth and blank, blank, blank. Now the guy's mad. Now the guy, he says, hey, I need him to cut 5 minutes. And I don't appreciate, and so Mr. James interrupts again. Now, about this time, the MC for the event comes out. This is what started on me the other day. I saw Bob Stack on here. And do you remember Robert Stack from the Untouchables and the movie star Robert Stack? So he was their MC. He was chosen. He's going to be the MC for the entertainment. Now, I knew Robert Stack because we had quail hunted together and shot sporting clays together. And so I knew him. Now, about this time, he walks up. He goes, hi, Andy, how are you? And I said, hey, Mr. Stack, good to see you. And I shake his hands. Well, now, but these guys are, they're screaming at each other. And we're standing right there. And he, he's like, what's going on? I said, because I can't even tell him. They're screaming so loud. And the guy, I remember kind of zoning back in, and Mr. James says to him, he says, this is Bob Blanken Hope's Blanken gift to this foundation. This kid is his gift, and you're going to deny his gift. Blank you and blank you. And this guy said, look, we're getting even farther off. He said, if you get your Blanken MC on stage, then your Blanken MC is the one holding it up. Of course, Robert Stack and I are standing right there, and I lean over to him, and I go, I guess you're the Blanken MC. And he goes, yeah, I guess so. And so, man, so it doesn't stop. They just like storm away from each other at some point. I think they're fixing to start swinging. And I mean, of course, I'm horrified. Now I got to go out. Now it's like, okay, Bob Stack, you're on. And then the music, there's the orchestra back there. The orchestra plays, the music, and Bob Stack goes on. And I'm standing backstage, and I'm fixing to have to go on. I'm like, and so I remember, I don't remember anything Bob Stack said. He said nice things, and then he said, please welcome Andy Andrews. And I walk out, and there's kind of this. Now, Mr. Hope and his table, the Annenberg table, they're clapping, and Mr. Hope's going like this. Well, I walk out, but the whole room, I don't know. It's like an evil presence in the room. Now, when I would go out, I knew I had to get them right away. In general, as a comedian. And so I had this one thing that I would do. And this one thing that I would do, it was a joke designed to find out how this audience is going to be tonight. How quickly am I going to connect? How quickly? And what the joke would be is I would say, hey, thank you. I'm honored to be here. Thank you so much. I feel like I got some friends here in the audience. And so let me just tell you, I talked to some of you beforehand, but let me just tell you before we get started, and I hope you'll be proud for me. Just last week, I signed my first contract with HBO. And typically, the audience would go, oh, hey, yeah. There'd be this wave of cheers, and I go, thank you. It died down. I go, it's a pretty good deal. I think I pay them $28 a month. They get to watch all the movies, and the people laugh. Well, now, according to how they reacted, I would know. I mean, that really set the tone for the night. I would know how these guys are going to be for the next hour or the next 30 minutes if I'm an opening act. And so I go out, and it's like this Andy Andrews kind of tepid thing. And so I go, hi, thank you so much. Mr. and Mrs. Hope, thank you. I'm honored to be here at your request. I think, heck, let me just throw their name in. Maybe if people know Bob Hope got me to do this, maybe they'll lighten up. And so I said, yeah, I talked to several of you checking in the hotel today and wandering around, and I feel like I got some friends here. And I just want to let you know, I hope you'd be proud for me, but last week I just signed my first contract with HBO. Nothing. Not a sound. Nobody clapping. Nobody nodded. No, there was not, out of 2,000 people, somebody going, "Attaboy." It was nothing. Okay, so I'm a professional. I'm going to power on. Yeah, it was a pretty good deal, I think. I pay them $28 a month, and I get to watch all the movies and nothing. It was as quiet as this. Do you hear anything? Neither did I. And something snapped in me right then that has never, ever happened before. It had never happened since. But something snapped in me, and I thought, I can't stand out here. They don't want me to stand out here. I got to get off this stage. So I went right to the very last thing that I do. I went immediately from, it's a pretty good deal, I think, $28 a month, and I said, yeah, I'm a dad now, and I don't think I said that. I wasn't a dad then. But I transitioned quickly into, I'm going to do for you the 50 most famous things that parents say. And do it in less than 90 seconds. I actually would do it in about 70 seconds. And so I go, you better change your tune. You're out of here, right? And it was about the time that I get to the thing where I said, this is a family vacation. You're going to have fun whether you like it or not. That some of them laughed. And I heard Mr. Hope go, and he turned to hit somebody beside him. But people kind of laughed. And then I got to the part about, I'm your father, you do, I say, if I told you to jump off a cliff, and more people laughed. And then I got to the end where I said, don't look at me that way. Look at me when I'm talking to you. Don't make me say this again. Thank you very much. Good night. And they clapped. They laughed and they clapped. And I had been on stage for about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And thank you very much. Good night. And I walked off the stage, and here's the end of this. I walked off the stage, and I thought, I'm dead. I'm dead. I've really screwed their schedule now, and nobody's going to be happy. That's what I walked off stage thinking. And so I walked off stage, and immediately here comes the guy in the dinner jacket. I passed Robert Stack because I'm going off, and he's coming on to introduce Melissa Manchester, and he just kind of patted me on the shoulder when he walked by. And but here comes the guy with the dinner jacket, and I'm thinking, oh shoot. So I see him. He's in a hurry. He stops and says, "Andy, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I know that was hard. That was awesome. That was awesome. You saved us the time. I appreciate you going with me on this, and good things will come of this, and thank you so much. I just wanted you to know how much I appreciated it." And then he walks off, and I'm like, wow, okay. And I turn to go back out to Polly, and here comes Mr. James through the curtains. And he's looking at me, and he comes right up to me, right in my face, and stops. His face like this far away, and he stops. He goes, "Good for you, kid. Good for you. You blanked him. You blanked him. That's what I would have done. You want me to cut it? Yeah, I'll cut it. Yeah, good for you, kid. You blanked him. Good for you. Good for you." It was the last time I ever saw the man. And I thought, how did that happen? That both of them were happy. I mean, two most unhappy people, and in 2.5 minutes, I managed to make both of them happy. It was the weirdest. It was the worst. And, of course, you can't help but think while people are crickets around you, you're looking at everybody you've watched growing up on TV, all the movie stars, all these, and there's Bob Hope. There's people life and death over your career in the room. And it was the worst. And so that's the story. So Mark Lowry, top that. Huh? Top that. You guys, I've got something else I want to do before we get out of here. But, hey, from Baton Rouge. Good for you, Sharon from Baton Rouge. Nice to hear from somebody in another country. Yeah, it was. People are going, oh, yeah. I can feel you cringing through the airways. I see your comments, the oh my goshes, and I can't believe that. That's nuts. Savannah says, I think I would need a whiskey shot after that. Yeah, I think I needed to be shot after that. Edie Ward, that is a perfect comment. She put like every single facial expression that you can choose, and they're all there. He said, but you made Bob Hope laugh. I did make Bob Hope laugh. Bob Hope was very nice, except for that one time when he was mad at me. I would say, remind me, Matthew, if you will, remind me. Just write it down. I just need to tell the story of how I made Bob Hope mad and what I had to do to make it right.
Okay.
It's just on some future thing. Hey, before we go, I want to give you, this is very important. I've got a great thing for you for Mother's Day. I think this is most of us, I mean, my mother, I haven't had to give her a Mother's Day gift in a long time. I would love to have been able to give her gifts longer than 19 years, but I did not. But Mother's Day always kind of hits me. I always see people ignoring it, and I think, wow, would I be in that position of ignoring it? Don't ignore it, all right? I mean, come on. Remember your mom. I mean, we all know Hallmark cards invented this holiday, but still, it's your mom, okay? And so we're always looking for good things to give mom, and most of us are trying to also not give something that cost a fortune. So let me tell you one more story, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you how this happened. I'll pick it up in a second. I know you can't see it right here, but there was a time at the house, and we had company coming, and I was going to make gumbo. And I was going to make gumbo for my special recipe, and I told Austin, I said, and of course Austin's making the knives and all, and I told Austin, I said, hey, I need to find that one spoon thing that I have, and to make the roux. And he goes, okay. So we can't find it. And he goes, Dad, just use a spoon. I said, no, I need that. It's a wooden thing, and it's shaped weirdly, and it's the reason you don't burn the roux, and you can't find these things. And we still can't find it. And I'm describing it. So it says, make sure you know what you're looking for. And he said, Dad, just use a wooden spoon. I said, I'm telling you, this is not just a wooden spoon. When you hear people talk about soup stocks or gumbos, you hear people talk about, well, they burned the roux, or the soup got burned on the bottom of the thing, or, around the edges it burned. It affected the taste of the soup, or affected the taste of the roux for the gumbo. And I said, this thing it's slanted. It's wooden, it's slanted, and it has a round edge on the tip, but it's a slanted tip, and it's kind of got a sharp edge. I said, you turn over every piece of everything in there, even in the corners, even in the round edges, and all along the bottom. It totally turns, and it's kind of a secret thing. It's why people would go, why is Polly's soups always so great? Why are, these things... And it's because she would use this thing. I would use this thing. So Austin goes down to his wood shop where he's making the knives, and we found it, all right? And this is the old cruddy piece of nothing thing, and I've tried to find them. You can't find them, but Austin goes down to his shop, and like 5 or 6 hours come back, and he says, well, here's you a little bit longer handle. Here's one you can use. And I look at him like, you made this? He said, yes, sir. I said, what did you make this out of? He said, I had some extra cypress, and so I just made it out of cypress. And I'm, how is that? And I look at it, and this was the original one, and I said, at the time, the first one, this isn't the original. This is the original design after he figured out exactly how I wanted it and all. And so I said, make this a little different from what he had. And I said, curve this right here, but that sharpness is good. And maybe make the barrel of this a little thinner to just feel better in my hand. So he comes back and I went, man, that is perfect. He said, let me put you a piece of leather up here and I hang it up. And he said, I'll brand it like I do my knives. I brand that. And so it's A-OK, 1 of 1, because it's handmade. I mean, you cut it out of a piece of wood, cut it down, shaped it, sanded, all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, Austin, this is just fabulous. And so as we talked about it, he came up with the name. He said, yeah, this is kind of a dual purpose thing in our kitchen because, Mama would spank us with these things growing up. But she also, so he said, I'm going to call it Mama's secret weapon because it was why she never burned the roux, never burned the soup stock. It was her secret. People wonder why her soup's perfect every time. And it was also a weapon in her hand. And so he got to messing with this. And now, and this is what I'm about to suggest. I've talked him into a deal for you. But this is what I'm about to suggest for your Mother's Day gift. So he comes back up with this, a curvy handle. And I'm like, that is very cool. I like that. And then he starts doing them with different woods. Now, Austin's sitting there. Can you answer some questions? Okay. You want to slide in? Can you just slide in? Slide in. Can you see him, Matt? You got him? Okay. So we've got there. I want to ask you what kinds these are, because these are different woods all over. Okay, so like, what is this? Can you see this?
These two are white oak.
This is white oak, and it's a curvy white oak, and
a straight.
That's
more like the ones Mama used on us.
Really? Yeah. It had that heaviness.
Yeah, they kind of got a good whack to them.
Yeah. Here, just so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Back of the thigh.
Back of the thigh. Ooh, yeah. And your skinny thighs. Yeah. I mean, Austin's legs when he, probably about like that. So that's white oak, and then you have this. What is this? This looks so cool to me.
That's zebra wood. It's from Africa. It's real heavy stuff and dark. So
you wouldn't want to spank a kid with that.
No. that hurts somebody.
Yeah, that's very heavy and. Are we getting it? You getting this, bud? You got this? Okay. And so, but that's zebra wood, and I got the curvy handle and the straight. Which do you like better? Which do you sell more? Do you sell more curvy or more straight?
I like the straight, but Mom likes the curvy because your thumb kind of fits in there a little bit. And
gotcha. I kind of like the straight too. I'm traditionalist, though.
Right.
Yeah, but now. This is the most unusual one to me. These when you brought these up, I was like, what the heck?
These are ambrosia maple. They've got these kind of two-tone colors, and occasionally they'll have these little tiny wormholes in there where something's kind of burrowed in there a long time. The worm's gone now. But
the worm is gone?
They've been dewormed.
They say the only thing worse than finding a worm in an apple is finding half a worm in an apple. So but make sure the worms are gone. That's a very cool one, though, because you can actually see through all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you see those little bitty holes, but
drilled a perfect little hole in it.
But still, this is my favorite. Is the cypress? Is that golden cypress?
Mm-hmm. Very light and easy.
Very light. They feel so good. But so that's that cypress. Okay, so I know that on your website. Which ones are the most expensive?
The zebra wood and the ambrosia are.
How much are those a piece?
They're normally $59 a piece.
Okay. But you're going to give us a deal.
Oh yeah.
All right. But they're normally $59 a piece.
Right.
And then white oak. How much is the white oak?
they're normally $49 a piece, and then Cypress is normally $39 a piece.
My favorite is the cheapest. I wonder if that says something about mine.
Cheaper wood.
It is cheaper wood. So, but I don't know why. That's just so beautiful to me. Can you see the grains in that? See that it's just like waves. I just think, and yeah, drop a link into Austin's site if you can.
They're listed under specialty products.
Under
Matthew.
specialty products on the site. And so these are Mama's Secret Weapons. The story's in there. But so can you, just for these guys, can you do a Mother's Day special?
Yes, sir. Yeah, all these on the site right now are $10 off for Mother's Day.
For these guys.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is the Blue Plate special.
The Blue Plate special.
All right. And so that would make, is that right? These are $29 for us.
Yes, sir. Yep.
So $29 a piece.
For the Blue Platers.
For the Blue Plate. So to give your mom something for Mother's Day that is one of one. You told there ain't another one like it in the world. Handmade. Handmade by the craftsmen, our European artisans from ancient times, with his T-shirt. But thank you, Oz, for doing that. I asked Oz yesterday. I said, if I told people about this, would you do a special deal for everybody? Because it's Mother's Day, people can't. Most people don't want to spend a ton of money, but they would like to give something special, and so. How long is it till Mother's Day? Can you do it? What if?
April, no, May 10th is
It's
Mother.
May.
I better figure that out.
You better figure it out, and because so you can fill their orders.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
For the Blue Platers.
For the Blue Platers. All right. Thank you, buddy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. And
Thank
you
you.
guys, thank you so much for being here. I just will say. I'm going to say goodbye to some people and just make sure I'm not missing anything here. Please make sure you get it where you can have the notification when we're doing this. We're going to do it again Wednesday, by the way. I know now that we'll do another Blue Plate special Wednesday. Tell me what you want to talk about between now and then, and or maybe we'll tell the story of Bob Hope that day. Maybe you're tired of Bob. Somebody was certainly tired of him. He finally died at 100. It took a long time for people to get tired of him, evidently. But God said, "Hey, come on, need you." And so Wednesday we're gonna do it, and we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it more than once a week. We don't know how many times a week. It'll always be at 12:15. Blue Plate special, lunchtime learning and laughter. So that even when this quarantine thing is over with, you still kind of connect at lunchtime. And we talked a long time. I'm sorry. I am really sorry. Should I have talked this long? Maybe not. But those you can tell me. You can say, "Hey, dude, you talked way too long." But we'll figure this out, and we're gonna make it fun. We're gonna have some musical acts on here. We're gonna do some great things, and I appreciate you taking this time with me, the Blue Plate Special. Andy Andrews, see you Wednesday. Don't forget tonight, 7 p.m., Mondays with Mark, 9:30 p.m. Central Time, Sugarcane Jane. Goodbye.